Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to Full Course Yellow. If you're joining us straight from Channel 31 and in Pit Lane, welcome to you. If you're just joining us, stumbled across us on the In Pit Lane Facebook page or somewhere else via YouTube or via Twitter, then welcome to you again. Only the four of us in tonight. Stuart not joining us again this week, but as you can see, Pete's with us, also Doc, and of course Chris as well. So we're going to be talking about. We're sort of split focus tonight. We've got to get out early because, of course, practice for Monaco is on this weekend as well. So yeah.
Priorities there.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Evening, everyone. Evening, gents. How's the week been? I see Mr. Ritchie still in the studio from doing our tune-up last night.
Yes.
Yeah, still at the
Band
pub.
played on.
We
Right,
left him at the pub. We did leave him at the pub last night, and I at the Boogeyman bar, and it looks like he hasn't moved.
Have you reached hair of the dog yet, or got a hangover, or just you just lolling about?
No hangovers here.
Have you got
that earlier this morning?
Have you got those audio connections all fixed up yet?
I must say it was a great night last night. But as we pointed out, and as you might have seen on if you watched last night's live stream of the tune up from the Mr. Boogeyman bar, fabulous band, the Exports joined us, but. We sort of realised fairly early in the evening there's probably not a huge chance that we can use any of their actual music on Channel 31.
I saw that post today, and I do have a phone number for Joel in my hot little phone. I might send them a text message off and say, Mr. Razza, because I've known him for years, you need to just sing something, even if it's Tiptoe Through the Tulips, because we were talking about Tiny Tim last night. Even if you just sing something that doesn't have any sort of expletive in it, but anyway,
I think that's what he said. Like afterwards, when we interviewed him, I sort of said, and he said, I don't know whether we actually have any songs that don't have swearing in them.
Just cut one out. Just make it. What bands do is they just come up with one word, and instead of when they're swearing and they do the commercial version of it, they just put that word in.
Yeah, the radio edit. Edit in it, but yeah, I think it would be. I think the actual expletive is in the title of a couple of their songs. So, but it was a fun night. I must admit, it was a really fun night. We had a lot of and joining us next Wednesday night at the Boogeyman Bar is a band called the City Sharps. So if you're sort of my vintage and probably Chris's vintage as well, you'd remember the Sharpies and the Skinheads and all the rest. Well, the City Sharps sort of
same here. I'm that old too. I do remember it. Yes.
Yeah. So they're sort of celebrating those strange dances and the strange haircuts and all the rest of it. So,
as long as they don't do it like in Romper Stomper and they go running around the bars and trashing the joint and then running out the door again like they used to.
We will be very happy. Russell joining us again. G'day, Russell. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us again. Also, Jeff is with us as well. So evening to you, Jeff. And Tony's also with us as well. So we've got a few people, a few of the regulars tuning in. If you're watching for the first time, there's a few people out there. Just say hi, and we'll say hi back. Not much else we can do, but if you'd like to ask questions, make comments or anything, we will. We're here to serve. That's what we're here to do.
That's just good manners and being respectful when you say hi back again. That doesn't cost anything. So.
It doesn't cost good manners. Good manners cost nothing. Saying thank you cost nothing. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Linesman. Thank you, Balls Boys.
We'll just be careful of that at the moment. If you're a Collingwood supporter, we'll leave that one alone after the news today.
I haven't heard it. Just don't even want to know. Don't
want to know
about it.
No, exactly. I'll switch to the cricket. Anyone know anything about putting sandpaper in any pockets in any pocket? No.
Yeah. What we have seen there is Cameron Bancroft committing career suicide.
Did you hear Tim Payne's statement on behalf of Bancroft?
No.
I think he was. Tim actually responded by saying, "I think he was just a little bit naive with his comments there, and maybe they got taken. He should have probably thought a little bit more about, and that's not exactly what he meant, and he just tried to play the whole thing down as a Australian captain would, And
that is code for you're an absolute idiot, and there is absolutely no. And in the unlikely event that you ever get back into the locker room
a
again,
sniff of a contract. A sniff of a contract.
yeah, I think he's in all sorts
Oh,
of
he'll get taken out the back room and
trouble.
get read the riot act, I think.
Yeah, it's a busy night for everyone who loves motorsport, because at 11 o'clock we'll be well and truly off by then, because we've got to watch the second practice session. Pete, you watched from Monaco. Pete, you watched the first session. I must admit I forgot that they were even out there tonight. I keep forgetting that it's Monaco this weekend, and of course they practice on it's unique in that they practice on the Thursday. Pete, what did you had a look at it all? What did you see?
Well, Sergio Perez got the fastest time, followed by Carlos Sainz and Verstappen. Charles Leclerc had a failed gearbox, so that's probably going to be a penalty of some sort, unfortunately, because that's really his home Grand Prix.
Well, I think it's pretty much all their home Grand Prix. I mean, it's Daniel's home Grand Prix and
Yeah,
Lewis's home Grand Prix, and
But he's an original Monegascan, so
he is, yes.
yeah. Lando was up about 7th, but Ricardo was about 15th or 16th. But they were trying different things on both their cars, because Lando actually asked if he could change something, and they said no, because we're trying something. And the wings didn't appear to flex as much as they had been over the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not going to get the benefit of the flexi wings at Monaco that they're going to get on the high speed circuits.
Yeah, an enclosed street race.
Yeah, I think that once they get onto, I think Baku, they will still have, because the new regulations aren't coming in for a little
Till the following week.
Yeah, the following week. So I think at Baku they'll still have Red Bull. Will still have it. It's very. I mean, it's once again it's a great illustration of the ingenuity of the engineers in terms of how they're making these things, Ben, because it's not as if there's apparently the way they're doing it is it's in the layup of the actual carbon fibre, in the in the directions that they put the fibres and the weave in order to lay it up, and how many layers they put in there, just so it's got sort of a bit of a V, so that as the pressure, as the wind, the car goes faster and the downforce increases, it gets to a certain point where it starts to compress. Because, I mean, now it can't be rigid. I mean, if it's rigid, it's going to, 100% rigid, it's going to break. So
if it's weaved like a basket, like carbon fibre is, etc., it also depends upon what sort of clear they put on it too. So if people, what I mean by clear, the aficionados that are watching us and listening to us now, means what the lacquer is, or the stuff that holds all together. It's resin. Like clear paint or resin. So it's just generally called clear. But for the layman's terms out there, if they'd be probably putting the minimal amount of resin or clear on it as possible, because they want to. The whole idea of using carbon fibre is to keep it as light as possible and maintaining its structure and strength.
There was a problem with fiberglass in sailplanes many years ago, and I am talking many years ago, when they started making aircraft out of fiberglass. If it flexed too much, it started to go soft, which ended up being rather nasty on wing spars.
Would that be, if you're saying if it was flexing too much there and became soft, it was because the flexing would create a porous surface, that way it would absorb moisture and therefore it would become soft, or it just lessen the strength because of the flexibility?
I don't know, but it was noted that it discoloured.
Yes, probably with fiberglass. With fiberglass, if it's going to bend too much, and the same even with carbon fibre, if it flexes too much, the laminates are going to sort of are going to separate, and you're going to get, if you get any sort of eventually it's like you get a bit of plastic and bend it and bend it and bend it and bend it. Eventually it is going to break. So
because I mean you look at many sporting categories that use machinery out there. There's, as you said, you're going back to old school 1950s, 60s, or even before there, Richie. You've got the plastics are used. You've got more this day is carbon fiber, but it's extremely expensive. Plastics are used. Fiberglass are used. There's all sorts of composite plastics are used. So there's lots of, everything your time you go to a race meet, and there's 7 categories on the card. All those cars out there, whether it be running from a little MG club to a Pulsar club to your Richards, our great mate Richard from In Pit Lane runs his Hyundai XL. Everyone's got different bits and pieces on the cars. So as the cars actually age these days, is the probability, the chance that they may run into some issues with their body parts.
Sean obviously remembers the Sarah Lee ads about layer up and layer up and layer.
That's what I was like. That's what I was laughing at.
Go.
One of the things about fiberglass boats is you never ever leave them in the water permanently.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll end up like Pro Hart's carpet. Oh, Mr. Hart, what a mess!
Yeah, go, Michael. Yeah, welcome along. This program, calling it a program, is probably giving it a bit more sort of a bit more prestige than it deserves. It's just a chat. It's just a chat. We get together and it's like we're doing this for our purpose, but you're welcome to come along and have a look at it. And if you've got any questions or any comments, throw them into the mix, and we'll have a chat about them.
And if you're silly enough, throw a camera on and jump on like us and talk a lot. But
as we as Paul is saying that Oscar Piastri, second in Formula 2 qualifying A, still hasn't worked out. I don't think any of us have worked out. I think the only person who could work out Formula 2 qualifying nowadays is Stephen Hawking, and he's dead. So let's.
Yeah, that's a throwaway comment, isn't it? But no. Well, I mean, there are. It's I suppose if you study them closely enough, there are a few teams that have got slightly bigger budgets than other ones, but trying to work out, on their day. But it's all good fun. They go out there and they throw it down the track, don't they? They just throw it down the road and see what happens, and sometimes they get first.
Piastri will be, I think, very competitive at Monaco. He's done well there in the past. He's done very well on street circuits. I think he will. I think he'll do very well this weekend. So good luck to Oscar Piastri on the weekend as well. So of course Indy 500 qualifying this weekend. It's a bit everything's a bit out of kilter at the moment because like over the recent years, Monaco and Indy have been on the same weekend, but it hasn't worked out that way this year. So that's good in a way because it was a very our mate Jamie Cock was. This was always sort of his lost weekend. I mean it's just, he would watch everything that came out of Monaco and then stay up all night to watch the Indy 500 as well, and then taking a couple of
energy drinks. We'll just say energy drinks or Baroccas and burn the candle midnight after midnight.
That's it.
Very good. Scotty D did all right over there. I think in the 6 hour, I think he was happy with. He said he's got some more in the tank there, and more. He can get some more time out of the track. So good. Well done, Scotty
D. He came third in the first practice, but in the second and third, he's down the order a bit.
Who?
Scotty
Dixon. I said Scotty D. Scotty Dixon. I said Scotty D 3 times. So it doesn't matter. All right. Scotty Dixon. I was talking about
New Zealand's favourite Australia. I mean, we've taken possession of most of their people, and New Zealand have taken possession of Scotty. But I mean, he did leave here very early. I mean, let's not forget when he wins, he was born in Queensland. He's a Brisbane boy. When he wins, and he's won a lot. He's won an awful lot.
He has. Good on Scotty D. Yes.
Yeah. As Russell's pointing out, the Dreamliners are made of composite materials. That's as soon as I heard that, I went, yeah. I'm not sure about that.
Oh, it's a different type of composite material these days.
I think
but Dreamliners won't.
They've had a few problems. I mean. with the Dreamliners. They took them out. I don't think that was to do with the actual construction of the fuselage, but yeah, I don't know. When it's like historic cars at the moment, because if you get a historic you get an historic car with a carbon fibre tub, it's very hard for them to check the structural integrity of it now. And we had that situation quite a few years ago. We had a couple of situations where a couple of older Ferraris, literally just broke in half. And there was one at Phillip Island. We were there. We were actually filming, and we just stopped filming, and suddenly we heard a big crash. And in the main straight, the Ferrari had sort of turned sideways and pretty much broken in half. But there was a very famous photo of a guy, I think it was in America, just basically sitting in a tub with no front of the car on it, just sort of fell to pieces, and that's what they're worried. I know that sort of at the historic level here, because they don't have the resources to check the structural integrity, and I think with the Ferraris, if you buy a Formula One Ferrari, you have to send it back every couple of years. So it's a very expensive. If you're going to race it, you need to send it back, and they check everything and replace anything.
Structurability and probably maybe a couple of tests on it for strength tests, etc. That as long as any of those sorts of accidents you walk away from, you count your lucky stars and go and buy a Tats Lotto ticket, as the old cliche goes. A big shout out while we're talking about accidents, though, to Troy Corser, who had an accident in the last week as well too.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Unfortunately, it was I think May 14th. I think might have been the date, or thereabout. It was definitely within the last week. He's resting up for a few months because if anyone knows Troy, he's obviously he's a 3-time World Superbike champions and Moto GP winner from obscurity, and also spent a couple of seasons in the top class. But things just didn't work out for him. But he's a world-class racer, top guy. Does a lot of charity work these days, loves Australia, and goes around to all the tracks, drops down to every state and every whether it be car or motorbikes. Had an accident in the last week, same old problem that they all do, on a push bike. So he was riding along.
They've got to ban push bikes. That's it. I mean, how many people? And bathrooms.
Banning push bikes in bathrooms.
That would be a death sentence. That would be committing suicide.
And take away those glass panels that they apparently surround showers with as well too, because you can cut yourself them or you bugger your arm on them. Anyway, back on a half serious note, properly serious. Yeah, he was riding along and collided with another push bike, not a car.
Your Honour, I rest my case.
Not a bollard. Yes. Double trouble for Brett's yes. Your Honour, Brett, you are totally right. Yes. He and this other push bike came suddenly out between two other parked cars, and they collided. So unfortunately, poor Troy hit the deck. He come worst off. I think the bike survived and the other guy survived, but Troy ended up on the deck, straight to hospital.
It's funny you should say that, because in Dandenong on last Saturday, I had my own push bike disaster when a push bike slammed into me, but in this case the push bike lost. So
that could be a good thing as long as the person's okay.
That was the thing. I mean, but some of these cyclists. I mean, they'll just go barreling down the street and just came straight at me and just bang straight into me, and just down he went.
We were just talking about Hoddle Street before, and when I've been watching some of the bikes that run around the city at the moment, they drive like madmen. They don't ride; they drive like madmen on bikes. Anyway, going back to Troy, poor guy gave the C4 a good knock, a little bit of bottom of the spine, also a bit of a scare, and he's had a bit of trouble with his arms and legs. So he won't be putting leathers on anytime soon, unfortunately. So he won't be out to any events. He's had to cancel a whole lot of stuff, and he's just going to rest up for a couple of months. So all the best to Troy. Of course, get well soon, and hope to see you out around circuits and having fun and chatting with your fans and talking talking all Ducati stuff and every other silly bike that you want to ride. He's a great bloke. So
yeah, he's a terrific. I've been on the show a couple of times over the years. Always a really nice guy. Always very approachable and approachable to the fans, approachable to the media. Just a really nice bloke. So yeah, very very sad to hear that. So hopefully no long term damage. Hopefully it's just.
Don't think so. Just needs heaps of rest.
Yeah, just a bit of swelling or something, and that will. That will come back, and he'll be up and about again. A few years ago at Goodwood Revival, Troy was running. I don't know if you remember. Was running. I think it was a BMW, vintage BMW, and it had the gear. It had the gear on the wrong side, and he couldn't change it. And he was reaching across with his right and changing and he still won the race. You know, he was basically running. He was basically riding with one hand, going across and changing the gear with that hand, and going. It looked ridiculous, but he won the race, and he came through from about 6 on the grid or something, and just it was the most ridiculous thing.
Troy Corser could win a motorcycle race with both hands tied behind his back. He could. Yep. So, but yeah, and of course the most famous one I've always said was when he got the last gig of the. On the Ducati years ago when he'd been in World Superbikes for the whole year. Absolutely
Moto
thoroughly pantsed everybody. They gave him, someone was injured in the Moto GP. The name escapes me right now. It seriously does because it didn't matter. They were injured. Not only minor. Troy, you can have the bike for the weekend, goes out and absolutely wiped the field of them by a country mile for one Moto GP race on a Ducati. And so he can just ride a billy cart with his hands tied behind his back. PVDA. What have we got? The Hume Freeway up to Craigieburn.
Yeah, that's something for anybody who's heading up to Winton if you were watching the show on Channel 31, we had Peter Lee on, the event secretary from Historic Winton, and it's a great meeting, Historic Winton. Paul found this out and did post on Facebook just recently. There are some major works going on the Hume Freeway this weekend, so it's going to be closed from Craigieburn to Cooper Street, both directions right through the weekend. So there are detours there. So if you're planning on going up on the weekend, and as we said today, if you are planning on going up, if you're even thinking about it, do yourself a favour and book online. I think it's called Tickety Boo. I think is the ticket. The tickets service that they're using there for Historic Winton, but that way you can sign because still of all the COVID stuff and all that, you've still got to. They've got to have names. You can buy tickets at the gate, but it is going to take you a bit longer to get in. So you just perhaps add a little bit of extra time on the weekend if you're going up to Winton, because you will have to take a bit of a detour on the way up.
Well, a detour. If you're coming from the southeast, go through Greensboro. If you're coming from out the west, go through Sunbury Way, I suppose, Calder, and cut across. That's the way to get around it. Just to try and avoid it, unless Mickleham Road down through out that way might be available. That's a good sides show alley. Always good.
Yeah, so that's another community service from Full Course Yellow and In Pit Lane.
Endorsed by Brett Doc.
Had to get lost in Victoria country.
We can do a Doc and Brett's traffic report. There we go.
Yeah, it is a country mile longer than a city mile.
Richie, could you give me a helicopter backdrop for next week's show, please, mate? And I'll just do I'll do the weather and I'll do the traffic report while we're on doing a full.
I'll see what I can get.
Yeah, give me a nice helicopter backdrop. I want one of those good-looking ones. I need some sort of sponsorship as well too behind my ear, and I'll get some big headphones.
We all need sponsorship. I went out today because we obviously got the catering last night for the show, and a few other expenses for the broadband to do the thing and all the rest of it. Yeah, I looked at the bank account today. It's not looking good. Things are not looking healthy at the moment. So if anybody out there would like to sponsor the upcoming season of In Pit Lane, we're going to have something. I've got to arrange this with Channel 31 because we don't know at this stage the future of Channel 31. The plan is still to shut. The government plan is still to shut it down at the end of June. they're sort of half expecting that. I think they're working on the assumption that there's going to be another extension, but they haven't heard anything. There's nothing official. Basically, the official word is that the community television will be shut down by the government at the end of next month. And if that's the case, then we've got to decide what we do. But in terms of we're coming back, we're extending the series as we did last year for that month of June, and we'll be putting up something, a bit of a special offer if you've got anything you're in the motoring industry, high performance parts, anything at all, and you would like to have some prime time free to air television advertising, we can do you a special deal, because we just need to get through 4 weeks of June basically, because it wasn't in the original budget. So there's the link there. I don't know.
Ticket Bow.
Yeah, I think it's called Tickety Boo. Tickety
Boo.
That's what. Historic.
Needs another road.
The 44th historic Winton, so it's been around a long time. It's a great meeting because, as I said on the show tonight, it's got the cars and the bikes and the sidecars. It's a really different sort. They still use the Winton short circuit, which is great. I always thought that when they stopped using the short circuit at Calder, they sort of ruined that, and it's a bit like that at Winton. I think I really like the short circuit at Winton. It keeps all the cars together. It's racing's a lot closer. Everybody can see every part of the track.
Just going about the short circuit there, Brett. Make sure you stop in at the cafe. They do absolutely glorious, sumptuous meals. When we visit Winton, Brett, for in pit lane, they spoil us to death. You almost go home and say, I need a heart attack to get over this food. The food is brilliant. And when you're at the cafe, which is exactly what you remind me about, Brett, in the cafe, because you were talking about the short course, up on the wall is a big framed, and it has all the short course and all the long course records, and you can see who have got those and in what cars and in what year as well too. So visit the cafe, food and the records.
I highly recommend the steak sandwich at Winton. The steak sandwich, the egg and bacon roll at Phillip Island is legendary. That's about the best race.
And veggie burgers.
The veggie burgers are pretty good too there, if you're that way inclined. And they are one of the better veggie burgers. But also the steak sandwiches at Winton, at the Winton Cafe up on the hill, are really, really good. And
anyway,
I highly recommend them.
Why not? We'll talk about some motorsport for a second. A few of the teams did some testing up at Winton as well too, and got some valuable data, I suppose, and also tryouts. So I know Kelly Grove was up there, and I think also maybe Walkinshaw Andretti was also up there. So they were all throwing a few drivers and cars, and everyone got to have a spin. I know Rick Kelly also jumped in one of his team owner cars. They had a bit of fun up there, but I think Heimgardner was also saying they've been trying out some stuff up there in the cars, developing them further, things that they haven't tried before. So they may not necessarily transition to the track back with supercars, but they've got some valuable data, and I suppose it'll be probably the last decent hit out. So that's if they still go ahead with the Gen 3 car coming up soon, which we've seen some chassis frames being released, some pics this week as well too, guys.
Yeah, I think they've. It seems that they've stuffed that up a little bit, the Gen 3 thing, and it seems to be that that they haven't been consulting the team. The problem is, if you consult the teams, things will never get, because nobody's ever going to be 100% happy. I mean, somebody's going to look at it and go, that gives too much of an advantage to the Mustangs, and that gives too much of an advantage to the Chevs. And nobody will be happy, and they'll keep whinging and moaning. I mean, that's basically the raison d'etre of supercars at the moment. Is everybody whinging and moaning about the regulations and all the rest of it. And it's not rocket science. They're not complicated cars. I mean, we're not talking about Le Mans, hypercars here. I mean, they're basically sort of they're sports sedans, and the sports sedan guys have been running pretty well all the years and not having too many problems. So yeah, I think that. I think that now they've just got to plough ahead, because they've got to get the Camaro in, and they've got to get the Mustang looking like a Mustang again, because quite frankly, they look stupid at the moment, those Mustangs. They really do. Ridiculous.
They've just had a short top and sides. I think they've had a bit of a haircut. So yeah, whether they can get it looking more like a touring car again, or at least a a big rig again and looking as beastie as what they should be. And the same with the Camaros. They've just got, even the new ones have got an iconic look, the Bumblebee style one. So we do. Mark Larkham yes, he is. I did remember seeing his name up on the board there at Formula. Are you up there at the moment at the cafe, Paul? You might be looking at the board up there, are you? So, congratulations on your good memory.
I imagine he will be up there on the weekend. As we were pointing out tonight on the show with Peter, they have opened the camping. I tell you what, they would be a very, very dedicated group of people who'd be camping up at Winton this weekend. It'll be, talk about brass monkeys weather. I mean, they could have that to themselves, that's for sure.
Well, it is up in the country, Victoria. So I'd freeze the pricks off the barbed wire fence. I think that one. But anyway,
glad you didn't stumble too much through that. We could have been in trouble, but as we were last night. Yeah, Jeff. I think the thing about GT3, I mean, we've seen the DTM have moved on to GT3 now. The problem is there's just so many GT3 now, but it is a category that is just working. I mean, it's, the racing has been good. If you looked at the Nürburgring, the qualification race for the Nürburgring 24-hour, that was fantastic racing through that. The sprint race the other night from the European Series, the series formerly known as Blancpain, GT World Challenge Europe.
Bless you.
Thank you. That was, I think that was, I think the GT3 has been good. That's what they're trying to do with TCR. I mean, that was the whole idea behind TCR, was to try and take the philosophy of GT3 and GT4 and transfer it into touring cars. And, that's... I'm not sure. It seems to have stalled a bit internationally. TCR. There was a big push behind it, and there were new cars coming left, right, and centre, and there's still a few new cars around, but the Hyundai and Audi seem to be sort of still very keen on TCR.
Maybe. And not saying it's the manufacturers, Brett, but maybe there might be some budget constraints on some of the teams and competitors at the moment around the world. I think that might be sort of behind the scenes budget cuts, and struggling to get some wheels out, some tread out in the park. There's a sort of a thing going on where you can't travel between internationally at the moment as well too, to a certain extent.
Yeah, so that's certainly going to help things. Yeah, 3 events in 4 weeks up at Winton, so it's going to be very, very busy up there. As I was saying tonight, in terms of heading up there, I couldn't find any affordable accommodation this week, but at the moment, affordable accommodation for me is sort of anything under about $20 a night, and I'd be lucky to pay for that right now. But there was nothing even remotely affordable. I imagine Supercars the situation would be even worse. They would be totally booked out. I think perhaps if you get in there, you might be able to get up to the Australian Motor Racing Series and run that, because that'll be a good meeting. They put on a good show up there, and there'll be a cast of several up there.
Oh, sedans are up north this week though as well too. Don't forget those sports sedans.
Sports sedans, yeah. I'm opening round of the National Series. Happening this weekend with few Thomas Randall back in the Saab again, which is good to know, because it's a really good turnout. This is why they should be running that National Series as part of state rounds, because they've got the sort of the 14 or 15 national cars that turn up to those rounds, but then they've also got all the regulars in the New South Wales State Series, and it's the same when they come down here or go up to Queensland or something. So it's a field of about 26, 27 or something. Might be even more, but it's a really impressive looking field.
Oh, how good did those cars look a few weeks ago when we got out to Precision and got to have a gander at them, Brett? They were just, I think, I'll tell you what, it's either it's going to be really good close racing and a great weekend, or there's going to be carnage, because they are all as keen as mustard to get out there and throw those cars around the track, aren't they? Get some tread down and get some grip.
Yeah, it should be. I think that if all goes according to plan, I don't think Tony Ricciardello's coming over, so you would think at this stage it's a shame, because that would give Thomas a bit more competition. But they haven't run the Saab for a while. I just saw Tom had just said on Facebook that the Dean and the team have been working sort of refresh the car after a long layoff. It's been pretty much 2 years since it ran, but beautiful car and very very fast. As Jeff was saying with the TCR, it's a good opportunity to get to you. That's what we were saying with Josh a week or so ago on the show. That the TCRs, because being an international formula, and that's what he was saying, that he can now go over and race all around the world in a TCR car, and as he said, they're really really hard to drive. What have we got? Paul saying, Lawson and Armstrong, the New Zealanders, 6th and 7th in Formula 2 Group B. So
Okay.
whatever that means, but they're going well. Both of those guys. I think Marcus, this is his big year. If he doesn't do well this year, he might be having to look to America or sports cars or something else because. He's been there or thereabouts for a couple of years now, and I think this will probably be his last chance in Formula 2. There's probably not much point in him staying around after this year.
Well, just before we get too much onto the, also getting to the bikes, another famous win by our Jackie boy, a magnificent, enthralling.
Yeah, wasn't that a good? Yeah, great there, and with 2 long laps as well. I mean,
Yeah. It was almost like he was racing in Melbourne, the weather. 1 minute was pouring down rain, it was sheeting sideways. The next minute, it was rainbows and sunny skies and puppy dogs running around the track with him.
Well, as anybody who has seen the excellent film Truth in 24, it always rains at Le Mans. It certainly did. No, I've been, and it does. It's very changeable there. It is very much sort of Melbourne, Phillip Island weather. I think one year we were there, and literally it started to pour with rain, and by the time we'd sort of got up and walked back to find somewhere, the sun was out, and you wouldn't have known that it had been raining. And we went, oh, okay, it's fine. So we went back again, and sort of 5 minutes later, down it came again. It was just.
Well, I was watching the race and I was thinking of us guys when we're doing full course yellow here right now, and maybe even a couple of other members if they had their rude mutts on the screen like us guys. But we could have had a drinking game while we were watching the Moto GP last week, because there was a competition within the race while they were out there on the bikes. So the competition was who could throw their bike down the road as many times more than anyone else could. So Mark Marquez managed to throw his Repsol Honda down twice. And I think Joan Mir as well too, the Suzuki, or was it or his teammate, threw it down the road twice as well too. So I don't think anyone achieved the third time, but they were having a crack at it to try and see if they could bin it or throw it out. Mark Marquez got the most impressive award because when he threw it down for the second time when he was coming through the field, which I will remind everybody was 2 seconds faster than what Jack Miller was lapping at the front at the time, and no one was catching him in a hurry. So I think Mark might have been pushing a little bit too hard, and he managed to just buck it up again and then did a beautiful skid across his butt all the way down to the key litter, and then did almost a forward somersault, but landed on his feet and ran away and just looked across at the bike and went, yeah, that's 2 I've done in about 5 minutes. I don't think the team's going to give me another one here. That's 2. I've probably done the budget for the weekend on bikes. So, the Yamaha boys also get a slap across the fingers, maybe a cat o' nine tails whip across the back or butt, because they got him right, but Vinales, when he came to swap bikes at the start, I think it was Vinales or Quattararo, one of the Yamahas, they jumped on the wrong bike and they had to just about pick him up and go, excuse me, this is your bike over here, you jump on this one. All right. So, even at the top level of motorsport, they can stuff things up.
It's very easy to do. I mean, with all the chaos there, and of course, if you haven't seen it, if you're not a bike fan and they don't come in and change tyres, they change bikes, and it was quite chaotic in there with the rain coming down as they get off there, and a couple of those switchovers were very very quick, but that particular one wasn't. Sort of jumped off one bike and hopped on the wrong bike. So that could be a bit of
going back to your first comment, Brett. Have you put your speed limiter on tonight?
For what?
That's why Jack Miller had
Oh
to get
yes,
long laps because
That's-
he got done at 60 kilometres an hour in Moto GP at France at Le Mans for your in pit lane when you come through. So as you just said there, they're not usually throughout the season. They've got one bike. They go out there, it's dry. They race the whole bike all weekend, make a couple of tweaks, and stick to the same setup. Because it's a rain bike, they come in and swap bikes, and it's all pre-prepared with either soft or a medium compound wet tyre on there, which has got the grooves. And he come in and he could see, he knew he was going to do it already. He was doing about 75 k an hour in the 60 zone when he hit the line. So 674, 75 k an hour. So yeah, forgot to hit that speed limiter.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, you got the two lap the long lap penalty. When you compare it with the sort of penalty you'd get for a similar thing in Formula One, it's not a huge. Okay, it's it is a longer lap, but it's a longer lap at pretty much racing speeds. It's not like a drive-through penalty through pit lane with the speed limiter on. So, which would absolutely destroy your race. I mean, if that had have happened in most car races, I mean, there's no way that Jack would have recovered from that because he would have come out sort of, a good sort of, 45, 50 seconds behind everybody else, and it would have, really, he was flying. I mean, it was a great ride, but I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have got back and taken that win, but.
Well, it was if you're a betting man, which I'm not, but some people out there, you're probably going to get lesser odds because the podium was the same podium as the previous race. So Quartararo and Zarco, the two Frenchmen, got to stand up there and for the home crowd in second and third place with Jack. Jack did a shoey this time as well too, so congratulations. And I think he shared it around as well though too. But yeah, if you're a betting man, I would put my money on a Miller, Quartararo, Zarco, top three for the
trifecta.
The trifecta, that's the way those guys are rolling at the moment. They're rumbling along. So you'd have to say that and also congratulations to the magnificent Miller because he has just gone up to, I think, fourth in the championship standings from those two wins now. He's just shot up from outside the top 10. I think it was 15th before the second last race that he won, and he's going to go up. And Paul said that's the way the Phillip Island has a runoff at Honda for long lap penalties. Correctamundo.
Yeah, that's there. It's come in handy for a few cars too, because if you can get through that gravel trap, you can go around that way and get back onto the track finally. So that's a
Good point.
Good thing as well. Incidentally, speaking of news that came out today, we've seen we heard at the last Shannon's Nationals round that I think it was Jack Perkins on the commentary or might have been Dave Reynolds. I think it might have been Dave now that I think of it, who was saying that during the TA2 race that he was talking to his mate to James Moffat, and James was very, very keen to get into to get behind the wheel of a TA2. Well, of course, if he's going to get behind the wheel of a Trans Am car, it has to be a Trans Am Mustang, and it would be nice if it was red, and it would be nice if it had the number 9 on it. And yes, guess what, boys and girls, there it is. That's what it's going to look like. So that's and that does look good. I have to say that I think.
Can you just hold that graphic as well too? There, it doesn't have a Mark 302 there on the door underneath the mirror. It actually has a Moth 302.
A Moth 302, and of course it's not a 302 at all. In fact, it's not even a Ford engine in TA2. It's a Chev, but because they're running a control engine. But I mean, it looks good. It'll get a lot of interest. A lot of people will like that, and
it'll be any plans for a Coyote to go in it? Is there?
No. I mean, they've got to run a control engine in TA2, so that's one of the reasons that they've kept it so affordable. But I think but it does look great. So Gary Rogers Motorsport are behind that. Gary Rogers is just doing so much. I think we spoke to Gary a couple of years ago, and he was sort of hinting that he might be looking at moving out of supercars and getting into some other things, and particularly TCR. Well, he's got out of supercars, and talk about frying pan to fire. I mean, he's TCR and some. I think they're still preparing some GT3 stuff. Then all of the S5000 stuff. Now TA2 as well.
So they're basically doing everything else but super farts now.
I don't know where he's putting it all, because it's not the biggest factory in the world across the road from here. I must pop in the next few.
There's a few spare premises around these days. A lot of factories have gone, it wouldn't surprise me they've sublet something else a little bit down the road or.
Speaking of which, I'm going to try and find out where it is. I don't know whether you guys have seen it tonight. I haven't. I should share it if I haven't shared it already. But in that area, in Dandenong South, there is a factory there, and an artist, a local artist, has done a massive mural on the side of a factory in Dandenong South, with the owner's permission. Absolutely magnificent, paying tribute to the champions of Formula One. There's portraits of Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Ascari, all sorts of the cars and the drivers. Looks fantastic. I'm gonna head round there tomorrow. I'm getting the jab tomorrow, but it was cancelled yet again today, so I'm just going to go up to the Cranbourne Racecourse, and I booked in there instead. So they'll whack that in, and on the way home I'll pop in and see if I can track down the owner of that factory and the artist, and see if we can do a story on that for In Pit Lane, because it looks fantastic. Google it now.
Have a look. Yeah, see if I can find it. Dr. Google.
Yeah, it's India Drive. It's one of the newer areas, but in the area. But it's really. It really is good. The Moth Mustang, yeah, Jimmy, it does. It does look really, really good. So as soon as they said that Moth was going to, it was like, it's got to be a Mustang, and it's got to be in that paint scheme. And thankfully they're doing that, and they've done it well. And the thing about it is, I imagine it will fill Alan with a lot of pride. Alan will be absolutely thrilled. Yep. I think, to see James in a sort of, back in the Ford, back in the Mustang, and with carrying that again, because I saw him. He's still out and about. Alan was partying. He was at Peter Jansen's birthday bash the other night.
Okay.
Jansen, the great Jansen, turned years old, and he looked. And Alan was there with a glass of amber liquid in hand, and looked very happy at the whole thing. So
Peter Jansen's one. Peter Jansen's. I'm not sure if anyone's ever put it on YouTube, but remember growing up watching him at Peter Jansen at Bathurst. He was always famous for his one-liners. He was a crack up, that man, I swear.
Yeah, Paul's saying it looks. There is a story up there already, apparently, on the on YouTube, so I'll have to have a look at that, because there's no point us going out and doing it if someone's done it already.
Well,
but
thank you for the link, Paul. There you go, Brett. You've just got sub editors just giving you some material.
Yeah, but as I said, who would need wallpaper at home with an artist like that? I mean, we might see if they'll paint a new set for us if we. Because we don't know what the set. We're going to arrive in the studio. We're going back in the studio this Tuesday night, and we're not sure exactly what state everything is. We do know, however, that we've been warned that our desk may not be there, so we'll be a bit exposed.
Has someone hijacked our desk?
We'll find out. We'll find out when we go in on Tuesday night. But hopefully getting back in Tuesday night. Not sure what time. We will live stream stuff. Not sure exactly, because of the whole COVID thing, and because of we haven't been in the studio now for well over a year. And we've got a lot of people coming in who haven't been in the studio before, a lot of new faces. So there'll be a lot of training going up, and it might be a bit much to expect everybody to do a full live show at the usual time. So, but we will stream something. Something will happen. So keep an eye on the In Pit Lane, particularly the Facebook page. We might not, if we don't do a full show in terms of live, we might just stick some stuff up onto the Facebook page, and you can have a look at some behind the scenes stuff of all of our stuff ups and all the fun that goes on there. So, and trust me, after a year out of the place, there's going to be stuff ups.
There's going to be some rusty. We usually get the second show jitters, but this time it might be. We'll try and throw some good karma and get them out of the way.
Yeah, sure. Sean is saying that we should give Paul an IMDb credit. I mean, I don't want an IMDb. Everybody, these IMDb bloody credits drive me mad. But anyway,
unfortunately, we're both on there. We're all on there these days, because we have a extremely good, extremely excellent EVS operator who also happens to flag down at just about every motorsport complex in the whole of Victoria and Australasia. Our Mr. Jeremy man, he does all our credits for us, and he is extremely on the money every year.
He's the only one who understands. Who's the only?
Oh well, you got to have some sort of accreditation to be able to get it.
The only one who understands fully IMDb. I certainly don't. I've never taken any notice of it, but a lot of people, it's important for them to be. A lot of our crew, especially when they're looking for work in the industry, to be able to go in and say, yes, I'm on IMDb. Where Doc and I are on there, and I think Pete will be on there, and basically anybody who's worked on.
I haven't taken it up yet. I'm not sure if you guys have, but I think it gets you all to the backstage parties in Hollywood all the time. If you want to go over there and get any of those, you just have to flash your IMDb and you're in. But that's just a rumor I've heard. I've never been to any of them.
The last time I flashed my IMDb, I got arrested, so I'm not doing that again.
I was waiting for that.
Very good. Anyway, it's pretty easy to get a credit. We've found a new credit on our show. Anyway, we've got a torch man now as well too. He gets a credit on our in pit lane on Friday nights or Thursday nights.
Torch grip.
Yeah, torch grip. Yes. You will have to put that there.
Anything like the monkey grip or squirrel grip?
Oh, now.
There we are. Paul's found the In Pit Lane IMDb page. Paul's found it. I haven't seen it. I must admit I haven't. Everyone keeps telling me it's there. I've never bothered seeing it because there's probably mistakes. I don't know, but anyway, it's there. So
there you go. There's Paul's. We can put his credit up. Tech savvy Paul Van.
Apparently, it's got details of your other movie career there too, Doc. So congratulations on that.
Yeah. And if you don't like the direction, blame it on Sean because he did all the photo shoot, the interviews, and he got the crew. So he's the director of our porn shoots. Good on you, thanks, Sean. Right on the money, mate. There you go. We'll leave it at that. Whoops, I said that out loud. Yes, you did. But I'm also telling everyone you're the producer. Anyway.
Okay, well, I think that's got there a bit of news. Oh, Lando Norris has re-signed with McLaren, which is a good Pete is there. Pete, I think it's one of those things. It's good move by McLaren. I think that he'd be very much under. I think he'd be very much under the gaze of Toto Wolff and the people at Mercedes and all the rest. So I think to tie him up would be a good thing. Also, what do you think of the Gulf livery? We saw it on the show tonight. Looks pretty good.
I think it looks good. I think it looks better than the normal livery. So I would like to keep it, but that's not going to happen. But I think the Lando Norris signing, yes, it keeps him secure with McLaren, but it also provides stability for Daniel, I think. So I think it's going to be a good thing for Daniel as well.
Yeah, it'll be a good thing. Well, as Box is saying that Monaco is calling, and they're getting ready. I think 11 o'clock they start. So the pre-show will be.
Before we leave everyone as well, then too, if Norris is signing and Ricciardo's obviously got his deal as well, though too, that's basically the team saying, you two have no choice. If you didn't get along before now, you have to now. So you're stuck together for a while. So make it work. If you didn't get along, you have to.
I think they get along.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the moment, I think that, until they have their first sort of actual race car contact, I think everything will be pretty good. But
well, look, if a push comes to shove and things actually did go a little bit sour, all they just have to do is remember it could be worse. I could have Sebastian Vettel as a teammate, and then it's all going to be roses and all flowers and everything like that after that. So it just all you got to do is just think those positive thoughts. It could be Sebastian, so I'm lucky to have this guy, whoever he is.
Okay, guys, I think we will call it there. If you go, we'll call it quits there. If you're going up to Winton on the weekend, as I said, would have loved to have gone up there and done some filming. Unfortunately, as I've said many times before, we have to treat Winton as interstate. It's just too far and too expensive for us to go up there on a regular basis. Because we do really like we love the historic Winton meeting, but have a really great
Who's
really
hijacked
great
the
weekend.
Who's hijacked the broadcast? Can I hear TV in the background?
No, it's one of my neighbours has a backing device on their car. And
Oh, sound effects go to Pete for the night. Good stuff.
Okay, everybody, we'll see you, first of all, next week on In Pit Lane, Channel 31, 9 o'clock. If you're in Melbourne, we'll be back in the studios of RMIT, and we're really looking forward to that. I'm not sure who our guest will be there. We think it will... I'll say it now. I'll be there. I think Reef McCarthy, the Formula V and Dunlop Super 2 driver, is looking like the man who's favourite. He's on pole position at the moment to come in and have a chat with us in the studio, to be our first guest back in the studio after that very long layoff. So he'll be back. He'll be there on the program.
Big accolade.
Next,
well, congratulations. We're getting first cap off the rank. It's a big
first
achievement.
pole position. We're really looking forward to getting back in the studio again. It's going to be lots of fun. So and of course after that program we'll be back with another full course yellow for a chat. And as I said, just share it around. Tell your friends that it's happening. Get them all on board. The more people we've got on board asking questions, making comments, the better the thing will be. The more chats we've got, the better. And as I've said, you don't just have to chat online. If you've got sort of good, pretty good camera, good audio, and you're a halfway decent human being who uses their left and right indicators, then you will possibly, then we'll drag you in on and get you on camera as well. So, okay, guys, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sean saying, "Is there a balloon drop for the 25?" That's for our 25 years. Sean, if there could be a balloon drop, but if there is, there won't be any pizza because we can't afford both pizzas and balloons. All right.
Maybe Sean, you can have a balloon drop in your own studio at home, and then you could record it and just bring it in for us. Just
one. There'll be if there is a balloon drop, it'll just be one balloon. We'll see what we can do.
Drop. What colour do you want?
Okay, guys, we'll see you all next week. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week again on Full Course Yellow in Pit Lane. And remember, if you're in Melbourne, come on down Wednesday night at the Mr. Boogeyman Bar, 160 Hoddle Street, Collingwood. City Sharps this week. You'll have a ball. We've been really enjoying it. So we'll see you there as well. Wednesday night about 8 o'clock. Come on in. Band goes on stage at 8:30. Doc gets up and says a few words, and we can have a beverage together. Okay, everybody, we'll see there. Yes, you can, and also, I mean, the benefit is you can meet Sean as well. Sean is our director out there, so you can meet Sean. If you've always wanted to meet Sean, you can meet Sean. And I know so many of you have.
Look at his picture. He's aged since last night. Have a look at that.
Okay, we'll see you. We'll see you next week. Until then,
see you
thanks
guys.
for joining us. See you later. Bye.
Bye.